folks. Welcome back to Welcome to My World. It's Dominique back here with you. And today we're going to talk about empathy. Not just empathy in the standard definition of the word. We're going to talk about empaths. Those of us who essentially are more emotionally adept, more emotionally intelligent, and of course nothing against those who are not empaths. Many folks who aren't can be very emotionally intelligent, but here's the catch. If you're an empath, you are all of those things, plus you tend to pick up on other people's emotional issues. And despite any, lack of ill intent, let's say, folks tend to stumble over your boundaries a bit, especially with their emotions and their feelings, their emotions, their upset, their hurt, their aggravation, their happiness, and those emotions influence us empaths. So, empaths, I want to talk to you about something. I want to talk with you about your friendships. Now, odds are that whatever kind of family you have, empath, even if you have some family members who maybe aren't the greatest, don't particularly act in the kindest way toward you, you've probably got at least one, I hope. It's likely, we'll say, that you have one family member at least that's there for you on a regular basis, who cares for you. So we're not talking family today. We're talking really about those wonderful relationships that we develop by just getting out there into the world and saying, hey, you know what? You and me, we're peeps. We need to be in each other's lives. The friend. That elusive relationship known as friendship. Now, what would you consider, listeners, to be the definition of friendship? Please feel free to share, to discuss, to chat, to have this conversation. I would like your input. I'm going to tell you what I think friendship is, but I would like to hear what your feelings are on the matter. So what do you think friendship is? What makes a good friendship? And what makes a good friend? Right? What makes a good friend on either side of that relationship, whether it be you to the person in question or your friend to you? What makes a friendship good and positive and functional, right? What makes that so? Well, here's what I think. And like I said, tell me what you think too. Here's my take on the issue of friendship. I think that friends are people who have a symbiotic relationship. I know there are a lot of folks out there, especially, not to sound like a grumpy old lady, but I'm about to sound like a grumpy old lady. So I think there are a lot of folks out there, especially in today's day and age, that sort of think that friendship means somebody who likes your, Instagram photos, and somebody who always says the right thing on social media and looks like they're agreeing with you in every selfie you take, and puts your content out there and shares. No, my friend, that's actually called pods. That's called a transactional relationship, kind of a business relationship, and does not have anything to do with friendship. Now, a friend might do those things. Other than always agreeing with you, a friend might do those things. They might want to share your content. They might want to click the heart on Insta. They might want to retweet your stuff and get your content out there. They might really believe in what you're doing. Maybe you have a special talent or a really cool business or project that you are working on, and your friend just wants to support you. So, not saying that a friend won't do some of those things, but friendship is more than that. Friendship, in my humble opinion, and even in my considered opinion, in my professional opinion, is, like I said, the symbiotic give and take between two people. But what is friendship not? It's not transactional. It's not, if I'm nice to you, then you give me likes on social media. Or if I act like I like you, then you put my brand out there. It's not if I act nice to you, then you do me a favor in your, political circle or in your social influencer circle, right? In your family or friend circle, in your business circle, what have you. That's not what friendship is. And I think that there are a lot of folks out there who, for good reason, mistake that for friendship. And, just cold hard truth, it's not. It's not, guys. That's not friendship. So I do have a few clients who have struggled with this issue. They feel that, a friend is somebody who kind of, you can talk real to them, but they don't question you, and you do what they want to do and go where they want to go and talk about what they want to talk about. And I think that sort of view of friendship, and of course that's something that I am compassionately and kindly and honestly working with my clients on, because that's a very, disturbing take on friendship. But it's not only a disturbing take on friendship, and it's not only a view that a lot of people hold nowadays regarding friendship and what it is, what it ought to be, but it's detrimental to both sides. So, what I'm describing here, the thing that sort of isn't a real friendship, is a one-sided transactional relationship where, let's say, okay, for instance, I'm going to use an issue that one of my clients had many years ago. And this person is okay with me sharing it because this is someone I've used as examples many other times. We've talked about it. They're okay with me using their stories. And I'm not going to out anybody or name any names. So if you're a potential client or current client listening, no worries. I would never do that. But if you're okay with me using your story to help other people, let me know. But so anyway, there's this client that I still, work with, and who I've had for many years, who years ago felt that she had found kind of a second family of friends. She would often go to the sort of the ringleader's house, and she would do anything from helping that ringleader to move house. I mean, that's kind of a tall order. Like, okay, I've asked, 4 or 5 or 6 friends and family members to hey, come out, help me move a few boxes or put some things away, fill some cupboards when I've moved. But I would never ask a friend, hey, stay all day and do everything for me and set all my stuff up and decorate. Well, that is exactly what this sort of ringleader quote-unquote friend did to my client. She asked this person to literally stay with her for days on end, for weeks, coming back to her house, back to the old house, back to the new house, time and again, driving her around, driving stuff around, lifting things. And this client actually had a weight restriction at the time, could not lift past a certain amount, but really wanted to help her friend and just went above and beyond. And I guess this ringleader, quote unquote, friend would say things like, oh, well, let's call my client Ann. Oh, Ann, don't lift that box. That's too heavy. In front of other people. But when it was just her and Ann would be doing all the heavy lifting. So I think you know what I'm going to say about this quote-unquote friend that was the ringleader of my client's new friend group. Yes, this person was a narcissist. So they wanted to look good around other people, but when it was just her and Ann, she really didn't care. The facade faded away real quickly. That mask came right off. And she was real straightforward about not caring. She just needed somebody to do the work for her because she was paralyzed by not caring and didn't want to have to lift a finger. And probably felt entitled to not have to lift a finger because the universe owes her, because clearly she's a narcissist, and that's how narcissists think. So I'm not suggesting that every friendship that's unequal, by the way, is narcissism. I'm just using this as an example. So Anne, my client, who, like I said, we'll call Anne, was traveling back and forth for weeks on end, just about every day, helping this friend of hers move, and was just not even given anything in return. She wasn't given a 6-pack. She wasn't given dinner every night. She wasn't, every night that she helped. She wasn't given snacks while helping, right? She wasn't given any assistance. Apparently, she had to basically guilt this narcissistic friend into taking her out to a fast food restaurant one time when financial recompense had been promised and all manner of other things had been promised. So what I'm trying to describe here and illustrate here is a one-sided friendship. Doesn't have to be with a narcissist, although it can be, and with a narcissist it always is that. But there are good, otherwise good people out there who tend to be one-sided in their friendships. Maybe they have a physical or mental health issue that they need to devote a lot of energy or time to. Maybe they just have a lot on their plate. Maybe they have a family relationship that's stressful. Maybe they're in an abusive relationship. And now some of these situations are more changeable than others. Some of these situations, I would say, that the friend involved could probably say, you know what, this isn't working for me. I'm not going to do this. This is taking up too much of my life. I want to give equally in my relationships. In this situation, this toxic family member or this, abusive relationship isn't working for me. I think I'm going to do my best to get out of that, right? And then there are physical health and mental health issues that will heal up and the person's fine and they're able to be a reciprocal, kind friend afterward. But then there are those people who just, maybe they've had it tough in life, but, we all have at some point. So while that's an explanation, it is certainly no excuse. And so there are certainly people out there who, they've really had it rough. They've had a rough time in life. They've had a tough hand dealt to them. And they just need people to be there for them. But they don't seem able or possibly willing to give back. They feel, maybe like the narcissist, that the universe owes them, that people owe them, that because they've been kind and helpful to other people, now that they know somebody who is kind and helpful like they are, they're just going to take, because they need that love and that affection so much. And my goodness, I'm sure they do. I'm sure that kind of a situation and that sort of a life must really hurt and be just horribly stressful and horribly upsetting. But being stuck in a life situation like that doesn't say so much about, the people around you as it does your boundaries. So, maybe you have a family member or something like that who demands a lot of your time or your energy. Maybe they have a physical or mental health problem. Maybe they're diagnosed with some sort of an illness that's fatal or that's disabling, and you need to be there to help them. That still doesn't entitle you to be in relationships similar to the relationship you're in with your family member, right? Maybe you've got a boss that's really demanding and takes, and you're so excited when you find a new friend because now they'll give to you and you can do the taking for once, right? And you're so relieved and so thankful for that. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. It's wonderful. Well, if taking is all you do, that friend's not going to be around for too long, or that relationship or whatever. That's not going to be something that's sustainable, that lasts. If all you're doing is taking from somebody and not giving anything in return, or conversely, if all somebody in your life is doing is taking from you and not giving you anything in return, that relationship is unsustainable. Now, how does this relate to empaths? Well, empaths are people who want to help others. We feel other people's feelings and emotions and moods, and frankly, because we can feel what's going on with them like it's happening to us, we tend to take on their problems. So it's important to enact strong boundaries and to realize when you're doing that and to say, no, this is not healthy. We're not going to go there. Like, hey, me, myself, and I, us three, we're not going to go there, we three, me, myself, and I, are not going to involve ourselves in that relationship. So it's important to kind of coach yourself and talk to yourself as if part of you is separate from the emotion of the situation. It's important to look at what your internal narrative and your internal dialogue are at that time. Maybe you just feel for that person so much and you want to help them so much and you just have to because you feel their feelings. Well, that's great, but before you do that, you really need to look at that friendship and say, well, what has this person done to demonstrate that they'll be able to be there for me? Now, I'm not saying that anytime somebody else wants someone to listen to, anytime a friend wants someone to talk to, that you have to immediately say, well, what have you done for me lately? But on the same token, you have to be able to say, okay, is this person always asking me for help and advice and not giving me any? Is this person always maybe asking me for money to go out to dinner and not giving me any, not taking me out, not reciprocating? Is this person always asking me to drive them around or go on trips with them and pay? Is this person always basically asking me for something that I'm giving them when they don't give anything to me in turn? Because friendship is about give and take. Now, I've had clients and friends go, oh, that's terrible. You just have to be unconditionally loving with everybody. Well, unconditional is unconditional. That means there are no conditions. That means there are no boundaries. And without boundaries, we can't have healthy friendships. It's not possible. They're not sustainable. Okay? And now a lot of the people that I hear say things like that are the last people to want to pay for a round when you go out. They're the last people to say, hey, let me get the appetizer. I ate more of it, or I ate it, you didn't. Let me pay for that when you go out. So while they preach the, let's be unconditional thing, how unconditional are they? Right? So anybody that's telling you that you don't need to have boundaries or conditions, or who's saying, oh, that's just too much. I actually know somebody who will say, well, that's too many rules. Well, that person doesn't have a lot of friends, unfortunately. Don't think this person in particular that I know, not a client, not a friend, just an acquaintance, and I'm not going to out them by name or anything, but this individual doesn't, as far as I know, have any close relationships. So how's that working out for you, not having any rules, I don't even consider them to be rules, just appropriate boundaries, and I have plenty of friends that are really decent people, and my friends have plenty of friends that are decent people, and those friends have plenty of friends that are decent people. Do you see where I'm going with this? So people who have a lot of genuine friends are more likely to be trustworthy friends themselves. So if you're meeting somebody and you get the sob story up front, obviously, first and foremost, whoa there, put on the brakes. It's very possible that you're dealing with a cluster B. It's possible that you're dealing with a narcissist or a sociopath. first of all. Secondly, even if you're not, you're very likely to be dealing with somebody who's needy and who either doesn't fully understand and subscribe to, or just doesn't care about social norms and having balanced relationships. So when you're meeting somebody like that who has that sob story right off the bat, maybe they're telling you how awful their life is, maybe they're telling you how down on their luck they've been, and maybe they're the one who's constantly asking for advice or help or money or what have you, right? When you meet that person, that should be a clue that they may not be somebody who's able to have a reciprocal friendship with you. Now, many empaths will tend to tell me when they come into my office, or when they come into my office via Skype or FaceTime, that, they just, it tugs at their heartstrings. They feel so bad. They just want to help them. How can they turn them away? Well, I don't think I tell my clients this. I don't think that it's turning someone away to just say, I'd love to talk with you about this, but I've really got to get back to work right now, and I've got to work on some of my own things. Maybe sometime when we both have time to chat about what's going on in one another's lives, we can get together at that point. That's not telling somebody off. That's not telling somebody to get to step in or, pound sand or what have you. That's just saying, I have some stuff I need to attend to, and I'm not going to be able to discuss your issues right now at length. And you're saying it in the most kind and respectful way you can. You're not going to put it that way, but essentially that's what you're saying. Gosh, it sounds like you're having some kind of a problem or issue. Unfortunately, right now I'm working, or right now I'm dealing with this major life issue that I have going on in my life, and I really need to lend full attention to that so that I'm able to be a good friend to other people. If I don't lend appropriate attention to that portion of my life, if I don't lend appropriate energy and attention to my life, I'm not going to be able to be a good friend to anyone else. So that's really what you're saying. You're not telling someone off. You're not saying get moving, jog on, get out of here. You're saying, I empathize, I understand, and I do really feel for you, but I have some things that I need to work on in my life right now, or at this moment in time, and I'm just unable to chat about this. But if and when there's a time that we can both chat equally about what's going on in our lives, at that time, why don't we plan to meet up? Now, oftentimes with somebody who's passive-aggressive or with somebody who's very needy, that'll be all it takes to sort of tell them, hey, I'm not a dumping ground for your problems. I do care. Absolutely, I care. But I'm not a dumping ground for your problems and your issues, and I'm not going to be able to give you advice every time you need it with nothing in return and with no reciprocation. And, every time you need dinner or money or advice or a ride or, a vacation or what have you, I'm not going to be able to fulfill that need. Now, empaths, when people like this come to you, it's not because my clients always say, oh, it's because I'm a bad person. These bad people are finding me because I'm a bad person. And I say, no, it's the opposite. It's the other way around, because what does somebody who's having a dark time in their life seek? Well, they seek light, and you look to them like light. That's a compliment. That's a positive thing. But you don't owe them to give them your light. You don't owe that person to give them your energy and your time when it needs to be spent on your life and on your needs. And a friend who would ask that of you without being able to understand that sometimes you won't be able to give that, and without being able to understand that sometimes they need to give to you as well, is just not a friend. Doesn't mean they're a bad person, doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean that they're a better person than you, doesn't mean you're a better person than them. It just means that this is not a reciprocal relationship. It's not going to work, and you're better off, both of you, really, without it in your life. Not everybody is going to be friend material for you, and you're not going to be friend material for everyone else in the world. It's impossible. So don't write yourself off or think that you're a bad person or a bad friend because you are enacting boundaries. Now, some of my empathic clients and friends have come to me and said, well, I've lost friends. This client that I had, like I had called her earlier in the program, Anne, has said to me a few times within the last several years, well, I've lost so many friends. And I've said, whoa. Wait, you're talking about a group of flying monkeys that surrounded a narcissist. Were they friends to begin with? And does quality matter or quantity? Because you weren't very happy, if you recall, when you had all of those so-called friends in your life. So is that a situation you really want to go back to? Or is your mind just kind of playing tricks on you? And of course, when we have that conversation, she'll admit that, yeah, you're right, I wasn't happy at that time. And yeah, you're right, that person was a narcissist, and the group, the circle surrounding them were flying monkeys. And you're right, my life was not so great with them in it. So thank you for reminding me of that. And I think sometimes that's all it takes is a helping hand, someone to remind us that, life isn't better with quantity, it's better with quality. And I feel for clients when they come in and tell me that, because I've been there myself, we all have, but really, like I said, quality over quantity. You don't want tons of friends who always need your advice and your help. I remember years ago when I had that sort of a situation going on in my life, I had some friends and even some work associates who would just text me and call me guys, seriously, nonstop. I'd have 15, 20 people day in and day out calling me, texting me 5-10 times a day per person for advice. That's nuts. That's just undoable. You can't respond to that quantity of messages without going crazy. And of course, each and every one of them would be so insulted when I didn't immediately get back to them. And how dare you? It would take 5 seconds to shoot off a text message. I know you're trying to get work done, but 5 seconds. I go, yeah, we'll call it a minute, and then we'll call it 20 different people aside from you who also need that minute. So we'll call it 20 minutes, and then those people will text or call back, and then we'll call that another immediate 20 minutes right there. And then after that, they'll want to talk on the phone, and then again, it'll be another 20 minutes. So it's not 5 seconds. It's not 5 seconds. And anybody, frankly, who talks to you that way, who says, drop what you're doing right now, and, I need to talk to you right now or else, or you're a bad friend if you can't get with me right now, drop your work, drop everything in your life, I need to talk right now, that person is not a good friend. And you know what? I'm going to submit something to you guys. They know it. So if you've ever been in that situation where you're the person, and I know that empaths you have, where you're the person that everyone comes to for advice, and, people are trying to get on you because you can't talk to them right here and right now all the time, and they need you, and yada, yada, yada. Those are friends that you can do without. I find it so peaceful to not have to look at my phone and see 10 texts from the same group of people, from each person within the same group of people, every day about how they need assistance or they need help or what have you. And then have those people, like, I don't mind if you just have a quick question and I can get back to you within a day or so, and, that's fine. That's fine. If we're close friends or you're a client, absolutely, I will do that. However, if you are going to insist that somebody give you their time, no matter what's going on in their life, that somebody always be there to, field your quote-unquote emergencies and, be the listening ear that you need and basically fulfill all of your needs, that's unhealthy. That's unhealthy. And empaths, I know that we struggle with that. We want to help other people. We genuinely want those people to feel better. We don't want them to hurt. We want them to feel better. And we want them to get over their problems and move through their problems and their issues. We don't actually want those people hurting, but we've got to tend to ourselves first. And if you have a friend or a group of friends, like my client, that fit that bill, those are friendships that you might want to examine. Okay? So, reciprocation, right? There's not going to be an emergency every day or every week from a real friend. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh. There's just not. Anybody who respects you as a person, respects your time, respects your energy, respects what you do, respects how you spend your day, and the fact that you need time to do what you need to do in life and that they don't always need to know what you're doing in life. Anyone that respects any of those things about you, that respects you as a person, I'm sorry, they're not going to come through with an emergency every day, every other day, every week. They're not going to need to have a therapeutic 3-hour phone call with you every day, right? They're just not. And if you say, hey, you know what? I need to go. I'm sorry, a client's calling on the other line. Oh, it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my brother, it's my sister. Gotta go. They're not going to think twice about it. They'll say, oh, cool. Call you later. Bye. That's that. Nobody's going to be offended or upset. My best friend is somebody who, if, my mom or a client or somebody calls while I'm talking to her, she'll go, okay, bye. And then we just talk later. And nobody's upset, nobody's offended. But if you're meeting some resistance when things like this happen, it's possible that you are dealing with that fake friend. It's very possible that you are just dealing with that fake friend. And you don't need that, especially you empaths out there. You just don't need that. There's nothing about that in any way benefits you, your time, your energy, your physical or mental health, or your life, or your well-being. And if you find yourself being that friend, pull it back. When you're feeling your drama really hard, that, at least for me, I'll put it this way, that is my cue. If I'm feeling my drama and my, sadness or upset or whatever really hard, that's my cue to ask the friend I'm talking to what's going on in their life. Because not everything's about me. So if you find yourself being that person that I described, maybe think about that. Maybe think about taking a moment to step outside of your feelings, right? Because your feelings don't drive your life. Your feelings don't dictate your life, right? You feel your feelings, but they don't control your actions or your life. They don't control what you do or how you respond to things. So, if you are feeling your drama and feeling upset and feeling hurt, while that's also a good time to talk with a friend about it, it's a great time to make sure that you also ask that friend about what's going on in their life. hey, it might even help you to feel better about whatever is troubling you. I find that focusing on other people's concerns can put mine in perspective. And coming from a place where I have my own struggles and concerns, that tends to give me some insight into how to help others. So it's a win-win. So if you're not noticing that reciprocation, that's a huge clue for you. That's a big problem. Now, you might ask, what are some early signs that somebody is or is not reciprocal and mutually respectful in their friendships? Well, I think that there is one major sign, and that is whether or not this person asks you how you are. I mean, just a simple, how are you? Not how are you, oh, well, guess what? My day was like blah, 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 right? It's a, how are you? And then they listen to how you are, and then they make some educated or intelligent or empathetic comments about that, and maybe you have a short discussion about how you are, right? Then, of course, you ask them how they are, and this is how it works. But you wouldn't believe how many people neglect to notice whether the friends in their lives are even bothering to ask that most obvious and simple of questions. How are you? How are you, friend? How are you? What's going on in your life? How was your day? How was work? Hey, I know you're taking a tough client today, or I know that you are working with a tough case today. How'd that go? That's all you need to ask. That's all someone needs to ask you. So if you're not noticing somebody in your life doing that early on, that's a warning sign for you. That's a warning sign for you. Now, you may be flattered that people are asking for your advice all the time. And I'd be glad that somebody was asking for my advice once in a while, now and again. That's for sure. But if somebody's asking for my advice all the time, that doesn't mean that they respect me. That means that they see me as an easy target and a soft sell and somebody who basically doesn't have any boundaries and doesn't need to spend their time doing anything but helping you. And again, that's not respect. Certainly not somebody that can be a mutually kind and respectful friend. It's just not possible. So if you're noticing these early on signs, keep that person at arm's length at the very least. And if you're noticing signs of toxicity in any way, shape, or form, no dice. You don't need that friend in your life, or that so-called friend, or that potential friend. You don't need him or her in your life, or them in your life. You just don't. And make sure that you're not being that toxic sort of non-existent friend to others. Make sure that you're not neglecting in your friendships and in your family relationships even, and your romantic relationships, to ask the other person, again, that all-important question, how are you? How was your day? And not just the generic how are you or how was your day, but like I mentioned, hey, I know that you had a tough case today. Know that you had some tough customers, or that you were going to have to order this for one of your clients. How did that go? I know that you've been having some trouble with the kids at home. How did that go today? You said you had a rough day earlier this week. How are the kids behaving today? How are you doing? Right? Be specific. Be specific. And respectful, of course. Now, don't ask somebody, hey, how are those jerk kids of yours doing, when they've never said that their kids are misbehaving, because that could backfire. So again, be respectful, be socially conscious and appropriate, but ask people how they're doing and care. Wait for the answer. I have a couple of acquaintances who will say, how are you? Oh, yeah, great. And then they move on and talk to the next person. So I don't even bother anymore. I just go, yep, as I'm walking by. Yep, you too. Cool. Nice to see you. And just walk on by. But don't be that person. Be that kind, receptive, respectful person. I mean, even if you're meeting a long line of people or having many friends come over to a party or something, you can still take time to chat with each person. Hey, how are you? Oh, yeah, good to hear. How are the kids? How's your husband? How's your wife? How's the family? How are your animals? How's your job? What have you? In fact, Bill Clinton was really well known for doing that. The Rock is really well known for doing that. Bill Clinton in particular, not that he's my favorite person on earth or anything, but Bill Clinton in particular was excellent at this. Apparently he and Hillary both are well known for remembering details about just thousands of people, personal details. Like, they just won't ask, hey, how's the family? They'll say, how's Susan doing? I know she was struggling with, an illness or what have you. Is she feeling better now? I mean, my gosh. So I'm not expecting you to be that good, but at least genuinely ask people how they're doing, especially in friendship, or if you're looking for potential friends, or gosh, even if you're just looking to be a friendly associate. Do that. That matters so much. People will remember that. And again, if you're finding that other folks aren't giving you that respect, that's okay. You don't hate them. You're not telling them off, but you're not going to invite them into your house for coffee so that you can chat about their life for the next 6.5 years, right? You're going to be as respectful as you can possibly be while letting them know that, gosh, you have to get going right now, and you'd love to catch up later at a time that works for both of you, where you can both chat about some of the various things going on in both of your lives. So making it clear, but not disrespectfully so, that we're going to try to have to find a time where we can both chat about the issues in both of our lives, and that if that's not something that's going to happen, you're not going to be able to get together. Plain and simple. So that is how to make sure your friendships are reciprocal. Those are some signs for you that someone in your life is or is not willing to respect you and respect your friendship and respect your time and energy. And again, make sure that you evaluate yourself. Make sure you're doing that in your friendships and even in your, friendly associate relationships, like I mentioned. It really does matter. So, folks, don't feel bad. Empaths, don't feel bad if you have to tell people, gosh, I'm sorry, I can't chat right now. I'd really like to help you with that, but I'm just not able to. And you don't have to explain yourself. No is a complete sentence. Now, if somebody says, hey, will you be a job reference for me? We're best friends and we've known each other for 2 decades and I know we've worked together for a long time. That's a point where you're not going to want to say no is a complete sentence, or hey, can you come to my mom's funeral? That's not a time when no is going to be a complete sentence, right? So don't take it to a selfish extent, but when somebody who's not respecting your time or energy or you or where you're coming from is asking you for more than they're able to give, and or is asking you for something that seems inappropriate, it's okay to just say, I can't right now. I wish I could, even if you really don't. I really wish I could help you with that right now. I can't. Love to catch up with you later when we're both free and when we both feel able and comfortable to have a mutually equal and respectful conversation. It's all you need to do. It's all you need to say. Folks, I hope that has helped you a little bit. especially for you empaths out there. I know how it feels to want to help everybody, but you can't. And you got to help yourself first. So make sure that those relationships in your life are reciprocal on both sides, and you'll be good. So that's me signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be well.
It's been 3 whole weeks since